When a student has determined that what is required of them is multiplication for carrying out a particular number operation, the next challenge could be how to proceed. That is, how to carry out multiplication, especially when the numbers taking part in the multiplication contain negative numbers. From the early times, many students were taught to multiply using numbers that were all positive. Today, they could be battling with multiplication of numbers that contain negative numbers. How should they go about multiplying all kinds of numbers, negative ones included? That takes us to lesson objective number 12. That is how to evaluate multiplication. Please permit me to use interpretation to present to you how to offer answers to the process of multiplication of numbers. Please cooperate with me. In this section 12, we concentrate on how to evaluate multiplication. Before now, it seems we have learned a lot about multiplication without even taking note. In any case, let us learn more about it in this section. To evaluate multiplication, we use the principle of secondary accounting. This is in contrast with what we have learned before, which is primary accounting. In primary accounting, we just place liabilities side by side with assets and combine them. That combination is what we refer to as addition. In multiplication, that is not exactly what we do. Instead, we do integration of assets or liabilities. What do I mean? Some examples have been selected to illustrate that statement. Let us start with the first one, 5 times 3. This is simple enough. But if you think it is simple, by the time the multiplication gets tough, you may not be able to get a correct answer. Therefore, don't underestimate anything that has to do with mathematical operation. That is only one thing you can do to make every process easy. What is it? Interpretation. And so we're going to interpret this operation and get the answer afterwards. Look at exactly what this thing means. It means plus 5 times plus 3. And if written the way we have known it before, it is plus 5 bracket plus 3. And what does that mean? It means positive of having 3 into 5 times. First, we get the value of having 3 into 5 times. Having 3 into 5 times is having 15. Positive of 15 means, positive of having 15 simply means continue having 15. That is why the answer is continue having 15 or plus 15. Instead, you just choose to write 15 because we can choose to ignore that plus, knowing that if it is absent, plus is still there in principle. Was that clear enough? All right. What about this next one, please? What do you think the answer will be? In like manner, let us get the answer. All right, that one says that minus 5 times 3 is the same thing as saying minus 5 times plus 3. And let us write it the way we used to know. That is minus 5 bracket plus 5 plus 3. Minus 5 bracket plus 3. What does this mean? Again, it means negative of having 3 into 5 times. First, we get the answer to having 3 into 5 times. Having 3 into 5 times is having 15. What then is the negative of having 15? It is owing 15. And that's why the answer is minus 15. Let's see more examples. Perhaps by now, that process has become clear. Even before now, it became clear, I believe. Let's see more examples, please. We now have example 3. We have minus 5 times minus 3. And this is something as saying minus 5 bracket minus 3 And when interpreted, it is negative of owing 3 into 5 times. Negative of owing 3 into 5 times. First, we obtain results to owing 3 into 5 times. Owing 3 into 5 times is owing 15. Then negative of owing 15 means change from owing 15 to having 15. This is why the answer is having 15 here. That is plus 15 or just 15. I hope what is going on here is clear to you. Please look at this number 4. 5 times minus 3 times 2. This is something as saying plus 5 bracket minus 2 times 2. Notice what has happened here. Unlike the previous examples, this fourth example contains 3 numbers. Sometimes we have more than 3, even 4, 5, 6, and in that manner. Here we have just 3 numbers, unlike others. What do? We can use associative law to join any 2, get the answer, and use that answer to multiply the other numbers. Here, it is 5 and minus 3. We join first to have plus 5 bracket minus 3. Then the result of this, we multiply 2. Okay, what is result of plus 5 bracket minus 3? It is minus 15. I hope you know how it came to be by now. You should have known that. Then times 2. 2 times 2 here. Therefore, minus 15 times 2 is also written as minus 15 bracket 2 or bracket plus 2. Plus is here, you should know. Therefore, negative of having 2 into 15 times. First, having 2 into 15 times is having 30. Negative of having 30 is owing 30. This is why the answer is owing 30. That is minus 30. One more example, please. And here comes the 5th example. It says minus 3 times 2 times minus 5 times 6. There are 4 numbers taking part in this operation. And this is what makes it easy for us to group them like this. Minus 3 and 2 grouped like this. Minus 5 and 6 grouped this way. What if there were 5 terms or 5 numbers taking part in this operation? It is still possible to group, but by then, one number will come out as standing alone. In example 4, we saw 3 terms taking part in the operation. The first 2 were grouped. The last one came to stand alone. Whichever way, whether we have odd number of participants or even number of participants, grouping is the way to evaluate multiplication of numbers more than 2. These are more than 2, 4 numbers taking part in the operation. Now let's make progress. These 2 have become this. These 2 have become this. Now interpret this one. Negative of having 2 into 3 times. What is it? This owing 6. This is negative of having 6 into 5 times. What again will it be? Minus 30. So that this has become this. I hope you are following. Now let's make progress. This minus 6 times minus 30 can be written in a way that will help us interpret as before. This is it. Minus 6 bracket minus 30. How do we go about it? As before, negative of owing 30 into 6. Owing 30 into 6 is owing 180. Then negative of owing 180 is having 180. And the answer, therefore, is having 180. That's why we have plus 180 here, or just 180. All right, please look out for an exercise and check whether you can carry out the multiplication in accordance. And that's the checkpoint. It says, evaluate the following multiplication operations. They are 1, 7 times 5. Number 2, minus 7 times minus 6. Number 3, minus 2 times minus 2 times minus 2 times minus 2. And number 4 is minus 2 bracket plus 3 times 3 bracket plus 5. Number 5 question says minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1. Number 6 says minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1. Certainly, this and this appear almost the same, but here we have 4 ones and here we have 5 ones. Find out if there will be a difference in their answers.